Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today I thought I would share a more sensitive subject that I think most of you can relate to and maybe try to bring some closure to some people. We're gonna talk about friendship breakups because I think that if not everyone, almost everyone has already experienced them. And what makes them so difficult is that unlike romantic relationships, they don't get talked about enough. Some might even compare it to romantic relationships because even if it wasn't your partner, it's someone that you take along with for many, many years. You go through life with that person, you create memories, you share secrets and intimate moments. That person is part of your life. And without being romantically involved, you just grew a long-term relationship that you and that person have to feed. You become so comfortable with each other that sometimes you consider them your family, and they even meet your actual family sometimes. But as time goes by, people change, personalities change, and so does chemistry. And if it's one personality that changes, sometimes things don't need to really change, but when both parties are in different pages, things get a bit more rough. One day, that person just isn't a part of your life anymore. Sometimes it's because of a fight, sometimes it's a misunderstanding. Other times, it's an action that one of you did that the other cannot seem to forgive. And sometimes, in my opinion, the hardest friendship breakup is when nothing happens. There is no big argument, no dramatic ending, just space, just distance. No clear reason to hate each other. You just grow apart. And because there's no real reason to hate each other, you just have to accept the fact that you grew apart and you have to do life without each other. Because a lot of people struggle with reality, they just start creating their own. Because people struggle with reality, they just start creating their own explanations. They try to focus more on the negative aspects of the friendship so that they can actually start to resent the person, and it's easier to move on because now you have a reason to be mad and to not want that person in your life. But why does a friendship breakup have to be permanent? Just like any type of relationship, a friendship involves two people with two different personalities. And the beautiful thing about being human is that you evolve constantly. So the person I was 3 years ago, I most likely am not that way anymore. And if my personality from 3 years ago didn't match with that old friend's personality, who's to say that my new personality and their new personality wouldn't match? Sometimes things can be forgiven. You can sit down with a person, talk, explain, and you can actually move on from it and try to give that friendship that you once loved so much a second chance. And other times, one of the parties already decided that they don't want that relationship in their lives, and it's kind of hard, but you have to accept that. You can't really force a person to welcome you into their lives if, first of all, they've decided they don't want to, and second, they've moved on. They feel that they don't need you anymore in their lives, like you wouldn't add much more to it. It's hard to accept it, but it's completely okay that during a friendship breakup, one of the parties, or even both, just doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. They are completely allowed to be comfortable with their surroundings and with what they allow and not into their lives. As painful as it is, we cannot force a connection, but losing someone doesn't always mean you lose them forever. You have the reconnection. Sometimes people leave your life, and when they come back, you both are better versions of yourselves, and maybe that new friendship can work out very well. There's always that chance of reconnecting when both parties actually want it. I've had friendship breakups that lasted for years and they were very ugly, and even after stopping to talk, we were always in each other's lives through connections, through places, even randomly on social media, we were in each other's lives. But somehow, even after many ugly fights, we just reconnected, and none of us are the same person anymore. We are not the people that fought a few years ago. We are a different version and we connect pretty well. And it's also important to note that even if you're not the person that you were before, that did a mistake and you wouldn't do it now, it's important to apologize, because people need to know and feel that you're sorry for the mistakes you still did. Even if you wouldn't do them now, you have done them. And apologizing for something isn't humiliating or embarrassing, it's actually a sign of growth. Now, there are two paths in the reconnection way. You can either become even better friends than you were before, so you can handle your friendships better, you can communicate better, and overall, it's just a healthier environment. You understand that that friend is a person in itself. They have their own boundaries, limits that you need to respect, and so do you. And because you understand that now, and they do too, it works better and smoothly. If you would fight now, you would sit down, talk it through, and try to find a solution, even if the solution would be another friendship breakup. But at least after that reconnection, you just kind of are more comfortable with talking and with communicating about the harder things. Or you try to reconnect, but you don't feel it. You don't feel comfortable anymore. You don't feel like it's where you need to be. It feels different. It feels off. Like you're trying to force something that shouldn't be happening. Sometimes you might even realize that you actually didn't miss them in your life and you were just fine without them. And this isn't being rude or selfish. It's just feelings and connections can't be forced or controlled. Reconnecting for me is a game of luck. Either it works or it doesn't. There's no forcing to it. But if this ever happens, that even if you try to reconnect, they just don't want to anymore, I have good news. It's not the end of the world. The fact that someone isn't part of your life anymore won't break you forever. You will be able to heal from it, and you will be able to get used to their absence. Humans are very resilient, and even if some are more than others, at the end, everyone is always able to move on and get better from a very difficult situation. And sometimes that sad feeling that you have isn't you missing them and their present. Sometimes it's the memories. Just like high school. It's nostalgic. You miss the memories, the friends, the routine, the freedom. But would you go back to it right now if you had the chance to? I don't think so. Or at least not for most of the people. But you still think of it as a magical time that you miss. Sometimes we just miss a chapter in our lives, not because we still belong there, but because it was just meaningful and pretty. And there's nothing wrong with missing that. There's nothing wrong with feeling feelings. And to be vulnerable for a bit now, friendship breakups are something very sensitive for me. I had tons of friendship breakups, which is kind of embarrassing, but sometimes it would be my fault, other times it wouldn't. I learned how to grow, and I learned how to not replicate those situations anymore, or at least try to be better than I was before. But for me, it's always a very difficult process because in itself, I'm very scared of death and losing the people I love. And to me, a friendship breakup is the closest thing to death, because for me, it just means that I won't ever be able to be in contact with that person anymore. And sometimes when someone would do something bad to me, I would just accept, so I wouldn't have to deal with confrontation and maybe losing a friend. So that would also create a lot of resentment, which we also don't really want. Which is another topic, but still a reminder that if you have a friend that you kind of need to talk to but you're scared, just do it, because the resentment that grows from not talking just feels worse than that awkward conversation that you guys would have for half an hour or an hour. But coming back to how hard it is for me to process a friendship breakup, nowadays I still think a lot about people that I was inseparable from. Sometimes moving on doesn't mean that you need to forget those people. However, we cannot just always be fixated on the past. Sometimes people can come back into your life, and when they do, it can be something very beautiful. But a reconnection should be an addition to your life, and not something that makes you neglect the people that chose you now. If I had to choose between bringing those people back into my life or losing the people that are currently in it, I would choose the present a million times. Because as beautiful as the memories are, what matters is the people that stayed and chose you. And those who stayed are the people that are right next to you right now, who are growing with you and who are supporting the person you're becoming every single day. The past can always have a special place in your heart, but it should never take away the appreciation you have for the people that are with you today. And while this situation is very unlikely to happen, I see it this way. For new people to enter your life, sometimes there has to be space for them. We meet so many people throughout our lives, so many different personalities, energies, with different backgrounds, and sometimes holding on to so many connections can be draining, can be overwhelming, and it can prevent us from fully appreciating the connections we have. We kind of have to give a little bit to everyone instead of investing in less people to give much more to them. You can honor the people who were part of your story. You can be open to the reconnection, but don't abandon the people who are choosing you just because you're too attached to a chapter from the past. What about healing? There's a belief that I want to share with you guys that helped me make peace with letting go. It's the idea that when someone's role in your life is done, you might never cross paths again. Without counting the reconnected friendships, I've had one friendship that we never reconnected that was very painful. For a very long time, I struggled a lot with it, and I even tried to reach out to see if we could reconnect or not. It didn't happen, which is completely fine, but it was a bummer. It hurts to realize that, okay, this will never be like it was before. We had great memories, we were inseparable, but it ended, and I just have to respect it and let it go. But then one day I realized, despite living very close by, we went to the same type of places, we had some mutual connections, we never saw each other anymore. I saw the person once, really randomly, and that was it. In a matter of years. And when I say years, it was a matter of 5 years. I've seen a person that just goes to the same places I do and has mutual friends once. I see strangers more often than that. I haven't seen them on the streets, supermarkets, near friends, not even on social media. Although, to be fair, I think they blocked me, so that's why I don't even see them on social media, but the rest of the things are very weird coincidences. And after having this realization, I kind of made peace with myself, because I realized that if we hadn't finished business, we would cross paths again. That is what happened with friendships I reconnected with these past few years. Somehow we came back into each other's lives and it was natural. So why not with that person? So to me, their role in my life was done and my role in their life was done. Even if it was a very ugly breakup, I carry that person in my heart because we had great memories together. And some people might say that it's a coincidence. And of course, while we grow up, we move out, we work in other places, we have new friends. But since I'm a very spiritual person, I choose to see it as a sign. A sign that if our paths are no longer crossing is because they aren't meant to anymore. But of course, you don't forget these people, you miss them. It's a human reaction. But missing them doesn't mean they belong in the future. Sometimes we don't lose people because we fail as a person, but because we are becoming different versions of ourselves that aren't that compatible anymore. And that's okay. And just to bring a little bit of peace, it's not because it ended that you have to erase the value that they once had in your life. You can still carry that in your heart.